Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, my name is Amanda. Thank you so much for tuning in. All of the products that will be used in today's video will be conveniently linked for you in the description box below. No need to go searching for these items, just click on the link and make your purchase. Now let's get started. Today I'm going to use my mattify to prep my tumbler, and we are going to be painting the tumbler with this camouflage brown color as our base. We're actually not working with a tumbler, we're working with a kettle that I purchased from Craft Haven. Now, as of the recording of this video, I did check Craft Haven's website, and I do not see that they sell these kettles any longer. But I will try to search and see if I can find any other companies that sell these kettles, and if so, I will link that for you in the description box. But I just thought this was the cutest little thing. So, as I mentioned, we're going to go ahead and prep this kettle with mattify and then go ahead and spray paint it our brown color. Now, the handle and the top part of the kettle is not removable, so we will need to mark that off with painter's tape or electrical tape to prevent the paint and the epoxy from getting on that portion. Once the paint has dried, then we're going to go ahead and go in with, I believe I used about 10 milliliters of epoxy, because we are going to be using multiple glitters on this kettle, and I want to have time to layer my glitters, so that's why I'm doing epoxy. You can use glitter glue, Mod Podge, you can use the tack it method. Any way you want to adhere your glitter, go ahead and do that. But as mentioned, I'm going to do the epoxy method and apply our glitter. And you can apply your glitter however you like. I am just going to start with like the chunkiest glitter and work my way through to the finest cut of glitter. This is going to be super simple, glitter only, maybe a decal, and that's it. We're not going to do any kind of design or striping or vinyl or anything like that. It's simply going to be a glittered kettle with, like I said, maybe some wording or quote or something like that. And just in case you couldn't see the glitter colors, we are going to be using espresso, cold brew, hazelnut, coffee bean, and mocha. And I have different cuts of some of those. So we're going to be using a mix, a chunky, and a fine in some of the same colors. I will, of course, list those in the description box where I purchased each one from. Most of them are from the Glitter Grind. I think one is from MAKERFLO Crafts, but I will have those listed for you. Okay, once you have your kettle glittered, go ahead and remove the painter's tape or electrical tape from the top of the kettle and then let that cure. Once that has cured, go ahead and seal your glitter. And the reason I'm sealing my glitter on this tumbler, on this kettle, is because I like how the glitter is on the kettle and I don't want any of the browns shifting. And then once your sealant has dried, go ahead and add your first coat of epoxy. And it took me 2 coats of epoxy on this kettle before it was smooth enough for any decals. Now, keep in mind a couple of things. One, depending on the type of epoxy you use, you may not need 2 coats, you may need more than 2 coats. The epoxy I use is a little extra ink epoxy, and I absolutely love it. However, it is a thinner viscosity than some of the other epoxies I've used in the past, but for me, that's okay. I hate sanding, so if I can just do like thinner layers of epoxy, but maybe, do like 2 layers versus just 1 layer to get a smooth result, I'm all for that. So just keep that in mind if you're a beginner in tumbler making. The viscosity of the epoxy is going to make a difference in the number of coats that you have to put on your item. So for me, I did 2 coats of epoxy at approximately 30 milliliters each. And another thing to keep in mind, this is a simple project that does not translate into easy, because your first coat of epoxy is going to be one of the most important coats of epoxy. When you are using chunky, fine, and mixed cuts of glitters and you're using several different glitters, the epoxy bubbles can get trapped underneath the bigger cuts of glitter. And if you do not pop those bubbles, when it cures, it is going to dull that area. It is going to look soapy almost. So just because it is a simple design does not mean that it is easy necessarily. When you are getting started in tumbler making, be sure that that first coat of epoxy gives you a really crystal clear foundation for the rest of the tumbler. If you are doing a peekaboo design and there's a couple of spots that you miss the bubbles for some reason, if you're doing a peekaboo, you can kind of cover that up. But when you are doing just a glittered tumbler and nothing else, you're going to really see every bubble. So be sure to get those bubbles popped, however that method is for you. I like to use a mini torch, but just be careful because you can burn your epoxy and your glitter. So you really want to be careful. Keep the torch moving constantly and don't let it sit in one spot. So we are now going to add this UV-DTF to the kettle. You do not have to seal UV-DTFs. So that's why I chose to use this on this design rather than vinyl, because to be honest, I didn't want to add any other coats of epoxy. I mean, for me, 2 coats was enough on this kettle, and I just kind of want to, do a simple, pretty floral design on this and call it a day. So that's what we're going to do. If you're new to UV-DTFs, like I mentioned, they do not have to be sealed. This one is white backed, which I think all of them are. I haven't run across a UV DTF that was not backed with white ink, but what you want to do is separate the layers. You have your UV DTF on a carrier sheet, and then you have a top layer. So once you remove the carrier sheet to the back of the UV DTF, you place it on your tumbler, or in this case, the kettle, and then you're going to remove that top layer of clear plastic. And it is a beautiful finish. I did cut some slits into the sides of mine so that it would sort of go around the curve of the kettle a little better. I had a couple of spots that kind of bubbled on top of each other. I just smoothed that out with a squeegee, and this beauty is complete. So I hope you have enjoyed this simple, quick kettle design, and I hope it has given you some inspiration. I hope you've learned something from it, and thank you so much for watching. I hope everyone has a blessed day.